President Barry Jagdeo is among several world leaders to address the opening ceremony of the high-level segment of the UN climate change talks in Poland on Thursday.
Public Utilities Commission says GWI has to conform to its order in connection with water rates being charged, but the water company heads for the courts.
And the Guyana Defense Force has launched an extensive search and investigation after Guyana Defense Force vessel was involved in a mishap in the Cayuny River.
The details of these and other stories, GINA News, and of course the latest sporting action in the Diamond Mineral Water and Sport News after these. Good evening, I am Janelle Prasad.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Tuesday, December 9, 2008. Paul.
Thanks, Janelle. President Barry Jagdeo is among several world leaders who will be addressing the opening ceremony of the high-level segment of the UN climate change talks in Poland on Thursday. The head of state is also expected to push Guyana's call for compensation to avoid deforestation by presenting a strategic assessment of the nation's abatement viability. More in this report.
Representatives from some 190 countries have met over the past 8 days in Poland to develop solutions to tackle climate change and help developing countries adapt to its effects. But as the UN Climate Change Conference continues for the second week, the spotlight intensifies on proposed deals to protect standing forests and new limits for carbon emissions from industrial nations. On Thursday, December 11, UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon is expected to open the high-level segment of negotiations in the presence of Polish President Lech Kaczynski and President Barry Jagdeo, who is also expected to speak at the event. For the Guyanese leader and those in the other rainforest nations, this is a critical juncture in the formation of a post-2012 climate change deal. The President will be presenting a comprehensive analysis which is based on creating incentives to avoid deforestation to the conference, an initiative for which he has advocated worldwide and highlighted during a presentation of the report to stakeholders at the International Conference Center last Friday.
Deforestation causes about a fifth of all greenhouse gas emissions. That is more than the United States of America or the entire global transport sector. Although the Kyoto Protocol created one mechanism, the CDM, with small incentives for some countries to reduce deforestation, it excluded countries like Guyana that have maintained their forests in a pristine state. This introduced perverse incentives, which made it more viable to destroy forests and then regrow them than to preserve them in the first place.
However, up until yesterday, the debate raged as delegates argued about the technicalities of measuring deforestation and degradation of forests. This has led to a deadlock on the issue, which has to be resolved before there can be discussions on how to finance such conservation. At this stage, it is hoped that President Jagdeo's report will bring up a fresh perspective on the issue. According to the President, the world economy only values economic activity generated through deforestation and fails to recognize the key role that forests play in avoiding greenhouse gas emissions.
If trees are worth more dead than alive, economically rational decision makers in countries with rainforests will find it hard to resist harvesting timber and converting the land to other productive use, for example, to meet global demand for agricultural products. Nobody should interpret this as Guyana threatening the world by suggesting that we will deliberately destroy our forests. Guyana has one of the lowest deforestation rates in the world, and we want this to continue.
He hopes that the report will help to dispel misconceptions, create clarity on the solution space for avoiding deforestation, and move the world one step closer towards a global deal which is timely, effective, and fair. If President Jagdeo's call for compensation for standing rainforests is favored in Poland, it will be a positive step towards the establishment of a post-2012 climate change framework. The final deliberation on the grounds for the new framework will take place in Copenhagen, Denmark next December. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shard Lal.
In the meantime, President Jagdeo is to host a national consultation on Guyana's avoided deforestation position ahead of the COP15 talks in Copenhagen next year. He says it is essential to make citizens aware of what Guyana is advocating for and receive opinions on the way forward. The president has also highlighted the critical role of the opposition parties and Amerindian communities in seeing that Guyana's call for carbon-based mechanisms is rewarded. He believes that Guyana can become a beacon for the world if all stakeholders work to resolve the issues surrounding climate change. Well, concerns are being raised by the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry about high taxation and electricity rates. The chamber says the 45% tax that businesses are required to pay is too high compared to other CARICOM countries, but GPL says electricity continues to be heavily subsidized.
Mr. Chintamani says the chamber will pursue the issue of taxation reform with government in the new year. According to him, businesses are paying too much taxes as compared to Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, or even Suriname.
It's a reform of the taxation system. I still believe it's an area that needs to be addressed. I still believe it's an area for us as a small economy is a challenge. When we look back at neighboring countries, Barbados, Trinidad, Suriname, the rates of taxation are totally different from what we have in place.
The president, however, posits a solution and urges government to look at broadening the tax base. This, in his view, can help lower current rates.
It's difficult for a business to pay 45% of their earnings in taxation. I think we can change that. Suriname is 36%, Trinidad around the corner is 30%. So it's a lot for us. So that's an area that we can work with the government to make some changes. If we can widen the umbrella or widen the tax base of having more people paying taxation, I'm pretty sure that the rates will go down.
But despite all this, Mr. Chintamani has acknowledged government's efforts to ease the financial pressures on Guyanese. In the meantime, he's calling for a reduction of electricity rates given the drop in fuel price on the world market.
We have seen the downward trend in fuel prices. We have seen the reduction of fuel prices at the pump. We have seen through the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, we have seen they're working very hard to have prices for flour, prices for transportation coming, all in the best interest of the consumers. However, one thing that I haven't seen is a reduction in the price of electricity.
He contends the reduction will